My supersized panelists here, Austin Goolsbee, former chairman of the Council on Economic Advisors, also formerly with the White House, and Grover Norquist, the president of Americans for Tax Reform, Christine Roussel, web editor for townhall.com and a former Walmart employee. That's very important. I'm going to talk to her about that. Alexis Goldstein, communications director for the other 98% and a contributor to The Nation. I'm going to start off with you, Grover. We're going to pick on a conservative tonight. I'm just kidding you. Just kidding. A full-time 40-hour-a-week worker making $7.25 an hour, taking 2 weeks off for vacation, a year, $290 a week, $1,160 a month. That's $14,500 a year. Do you think that's a fair wage?
Look, we have a real problem here. There are 1 million people fewer working today than when Obama took office. We've got a lot of jobs that have been lost. We need not only good starting jobs, but the opportunity to move forward, which is why if you can get a job and hold it and move up the scale, that's very important. We need both economic growth and job opportunities. That's where the present economy is failing the American people. We're not creating the jobs we need to.
But Grover,
again, 1 million fewer people working today than when Obama took over.
Yeah, right. And I don't want to do the whole ideological thing. I don't want to play politics here.
No, that's a number. That's not ideology.
But do you think that this is a fair wage? Can people live on $7.25 an hour?
Well, I don't expect people want to work for $7 an hour for all of their lives. It is a better job opening, a first job, than no job at all. I suppose $7 is better than no job. Obama's left too many people with no job.
All right. Thank you for answering that question. Christine Roussel, you were a cashier at Walmart. Were you okay with what you were being paid?
Yeah, I was, because I was a 19 and a 20-year-old with no skills whatsoever. I was in college, and I was paid above minimum wage, and it was fairly basic work. It wasn't $15 an hour work by any means, and I thought it was a fair wage. What
was your experience like working there? You thought it was a fair wage? Did the people around you think it was a fair wage that they were being paid?
The majority of my coworkers were just like me. They were either in school or in high school still, and we didn't really talk much about salary, but I mean, I didn't hear anyone openly complain about what they were being paid. We were all pretty much in the same boat.
Alexis, you have been watching these strikes taking place across the country, workers demanding $15 an hour. Is a protest the right way to go with doing this?
I think it's an important approach because it allows workers to actually have a voice in this. And I think what's important to remember about this is that this is a fight that affects 30 million Americans. And 88% of the people who are currently making minimum wage are over 20 years old. We're not talking about teenagers anymore. More than half of them work full-time, so we're not talking about people working part-time anymore. This is hard work that deserves a fair pay. I was also a cashier. That was my first job out of school. This is physically taxing work. It is emotionally draining. It was the hardest job that I had. I worked 7 years on Wall Street. It was more physically exhausting and emotionally draining than my 7 years on Wall Street. And I think what's important here to remember is, look, people can't make enough to survive, and so they increasingly have to go into debt. At the top of the show, you mentioned investors are making huge amounts of money. People are getting these passive incomes that are coming in because they're shareholders. Well, when people go into debt, that enriches Wall Street. The old American dream used to be owning a home. The new American dream is simply getting out of debt.
Okay.
We need to raise the minimum wage to change that.
Awesome. President Obama says he wants to raise the minimum wage, but you know he's going to face a tough battle in Congress. Do you think that by putting more wages, higher wages into lower income people who are earning, do you think that boosts the economy?
I think one of the biggest problems that we've faced, certainly coming out of the worst recession of our lifetimes, but it really predates that. You know, through all of the 2000s, you had median family income, just the family right in the middle, falling $2,000 over the course of what was supposed to be the boom. And then the second blow to them was a terrible recession. So the hollowing out of the middle class and the fact that ordinary people, like the people on the segment, or millions of people around the country not being able to keep up, is a big macroeconomic problem. It's more than just a micro problem facing their families. The fact that the #1 biggest problem facing small business in the country, by their own admission, is that people can't afford to buy their products. I think we got to confront that. If we don't start rebuilding the income growth coming from the middle, we don't have a sustainable growth model.
Yeah. We're going to talk solutions in just a moment here, but I want you to stand by because in a minute, we're wondering why this is such a hot issue. We're going to check out these McDonald's employees. They're not exactly loving it.